It's really great to be here with you all today. So I'm going to be talking about chatbots. But I think maybe what you've seen already in Chloe's earlier talk is that we're probably talking more than just chatbots. What we're talking about is conversation, human-computer conversation. I think we're starting to see a fundamental shift in how we're interacting with our computers. From the graphical user interface of buttons and menus to the conversational user interface, where we can use natural language to talk or type with our computers. Now, I'm not suggesting we're going to throw away our touchscreens and mice just yet. Clearly, graphical user interfaces make sense for many, if not most, applications. But what we are starting to see just recently is an entire new class of applications where conversation makes the most sense. And I think this is great for everyone here today because I think it lets us move beyond simple interactions and lets us form deep personal relationships with our customers. This is also great for my company, Pullstring, because that's exactly what we do. So just a short bit of background. Pullstring has been around for 5.5 years. The founding team came largely from Pixar's software group. So my co-founder, Oren Jacob, he was the CTO of Pixar. He was there for 20 years. I was only there for 6 years, so I'm the noob of the two of us. But I was the hair model for Mr. Incredible, so I do have that to my name at least. And one of the things we brought with us, one of the things we learned from our time at Pixar was the combination of art and science for great storytelling. So at Pixar, we were using 3D graphics technology to build believable, engaging characters and tell amazing stories. We're trying to do the same thing at Pullstring, but doing it through conversation. So I want to take a little bit of time to show you some of the conversational experiences that we've built for some of our clients. I'm going to start off with Activision, Call of Duty. So we worked with Activision and their agency AKQA on an alternate reality game, an ARG, where inside of Call of Duty, there was various elements in the game that would bounce you to a Facebook Messenger channel. And there you met Lieutenant Reyes, who was a new character in the upcoming, as at that point, unknown Infinite Warfare. There was various conversations you could have with Lieutenant Reyes, and they would also bounce you back into the game to find clues for various questions and problems, and then you'd come back and then you'd answer those with Lieutenant Reyes, and then if you answered everything, then you got access to the reveal trailer of Infinite Warfare before anyone else on the internet got it. This was a hugely successful campaign for the Call of Duty brand. Traffic-wise, one of the largest Facebook Messenger chatbots ever. They only came online in April, so maybe that's not that big a deal, but there was more than 6 million conversations on the very first day. And internally, Facebook had to build out extra scalability to handle the load for this. So to show you what this looks like, on the left, you've got your Facebook Messenger interface. You can see there's chat elements there, but also rich media. There's images, there's buttons that you can click on. And on the right, I've got some quotes that came out of the subreddit thread on Call of Duty. This exploded around the time of the chatbot coming out, with the whole community gathering together to try and find answers to all of the clues and help each other get to the final answer. And so you see things like clever marketing team, and I don't care if the game's not going to be good, I'm going to buy it for sure anyway because of this. So very popular. Next, I want to talk about humans. Some of you may know here, this is a TV show on Channel 4. If you're in the US, you can get it on Amazon. And the creative conceit of this show is that there are these synthetic humans, or synths, and you can purchase these to do various chores around your home. So we worked with Channel 4 as part of the Season 2 reveal, and we made a Facebook Messenger chatbot. The idea being you have a problem with your chatbot and you need to, with your synth, sorry, and you need to replace it and get a new one. But of course, on the other end, the person you're talking to is a synth. And then the idea is that during this process, the synth becomes sentient, becomes self-aware, and you become the very first human that they're talking to. This is a fantastic example of a great chatbot experience. I encourage you to go play with it, m.me/persona synthetics. These are some example interactions with the chatbot. So on the left, you've got the actual moment where the synth becomes self-aware. In the middle, the synth is trying to learn how to tell jokes and not doing very good at it. And on the right, the user gets a moral dilemma. You have to decide, am I going to report this synth to the authorities, or am I going to help the synth escape? One very cool part is this truck that you see up there. Channel 4 actually had these trucks, the synth reclamation trucks, driving around here in the center of London as part of this campaign. So it was a lot of fun. Switching gears a little bit, those are two text-based interactions. I'm going to talk about a couple audio interactions. So we worked with Mattel on Hello Barbie. This was a doll that you could talk to. We did cloud-based speech recognition, ran our artificial intelligence engine, and then we'd play back various lines of audio of Barbie speaking. So Mattel wanted to do this because the #1 request from kids was to be able to talk with Barbie. So we worked together to build this, and even though it's a very different experience physically from what I talked about before, you can think about this as essentially a chatbot wrapped in plastic. And we can think about it as, we think, one of the most sophisticated chatbot experiences there is out there. We wrote together, Mattel and Pullstring, over 8,000 lines of dialogue, went through approval loops, and recorded with voice talent all of those lines of dialogue. This produces over 30-plus hours of audio entertainment. And more recently, just the past few weeks, Mattel has launched the Dream House, which is a big, very big, it's like 4-foot by 3-foot house that is for Barbie, that is voice controlled. So you can say things like, open the front door, or turn on the lights, or party mode is always a very popular one. You can also customize the sounds, and people seem to love customizing the toilet flush. Go figure. But this really changed the conversation around Barbie and the brand, and caused conversation in lots of different areas that had never happened before. One in particular that I liked was Jimmy Kimmel. So if you don't know, he's a US late-night talk show / comedian. Did various skits talking with the Hello Barbie doll. And I'm going to play a short clip for you now.
How would you feel about going on an imaginary horse ride with me?
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'm super excited. This is going to be so fun. We get to make all the sounds we'd hear on our ride. How are you at making fun sounds?
Good, but we have to, the baby's in the other room, so we should keep it down.
You're going to do great. We're almost ready to saddle up and head out. But first, what color riding helmet are you going to wear?
What do you mean, like a condom?
Of course. I think I'll wear my neon green helmet that has gold stars all over it. What do you think?
This is one of the weirdest fantasies I've ever been a part of.
So this is clearly not the key demographic for the Hello Barbie doll. But I can tell you the team that we worked with at Mattel, they loved these, and it really expanded the conversation about the doll. So the last experience I'm going to talk about is the Grand Tour. For those of you who know Jeremy Clarkson and the rest of the team from Top Gear, they have a new show on Amazon called The Grand Tour. So we've been working with Amazon to create an Alexa skill around this show. And the idea is that it lets viewers remain engaged and entertained in between episodes. This is hot off the presses. This only came out November 18th, so 2-3 weeks ago. And the idea is that you could ask questions about the show or about the presenters. So you could ask, how tall is Jeremy Clarkson? Apparently 6'5". Who knew? Alexa might also ask you questions about the show that just happened as well. So just give you an idea of this, I'll play the short audio introduction to the Alexa skill.
Alexa, play the Grand Tour.
I'm Jeremy Clarkson.
I'm Richard Hammond.
And I'm James May.
And this is the Grand Tour Skill, delivered to you each week by us and this artificial intelligence device thing.
So you can go from here and have a conversation with Alexa about the show. There's episodic content, new stuff comes out each week and content related to the show. So that was a bunch of experiences that I wanted to show you around conversation. A couple were text-based on Facebook Messenger, a couple audio, one being a custom Internet of Thing device, being Hello Barbie, and the other being an audio experience for a consumer device that's sitting in your home, being the Amazon Echo. I want to spend the rest of my time talking a little bit about how you actually build these things. How do you make engaging, interesting computer conversations? I think this really comes down to defining the voice of your brand. This is probably terms that you're very familiar with, but I don't mean this in the usual term, and I don't mean this in any abstract sense. I mean, what does your brand sound like when a customer talks to it? This is something that most companies haven't really thought about before, and some companies will be in a better position to answer this question than others. So companies that already have a personality that has a known voice, so the Geico Lizard or the M&M chocolates, will be in a pretty good place. Things that are more abstract, what does it mean to talk to Coca-Cola or to Burger King? So I think there's going to be, just as we're used to having brand consultants, that there'll actually be voice consultants to figure out how should your brand sound and talk to customers. And I think it's going to be very important. Believe me, I don't think that Coke wants to sound like Pepsi, and Uber doesn't want to sound like Lyft. So we're actually going to see a lot of this going forward as these chatbot and audio experiences come more into everyday life. And I think this also goes back to what I was talking about earlier about art and science and combining those. So clearly, there's a lot of technology to figure out here. There's artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing. You've heard a lot of these terms already today. But there's also the creative aspect. And so, for example, at Pullstring, half our company is engineers, half are creative, half are voice actors or traditional theater actors or script writers. They're people who know what it means to build a convincing character and to create story arc. And I think that's going to be an important part as we build out these experiences. We need those creative people to be able to build that. So in terms of how you actually create a great character, it comes down to defining identity. And you may draft this off of a person that you know, or maybe a fictional character. But people have things like boundaries. They have backstories. So for boundaries, you may ask me a question I don't know the answer to. That's perfectly okay. I'm human. I'm not an all-knowing computer. And it's our boundaries, it's our lack of knowledge that make us interesting as human beings. Backstory. So, working with Mattel, Barbie is now 57 years old, believe it or not. There's a huge amount of backstory that we could build upon to create that 30-plus hours of entertainment. You also want to consider things like word choice and language. So we created a millennial chatbot called Jessie. And so this chatbot would talk with a lot of emojis, emoticons, a lot of contractions, a lot of acronyms. And when millennials interacted with this chatbot, they said they loved it. They felt like they were talking with their best friend. Conversely, we gave it to some slightly older people. They hated it. They could not stand talking to this person. And what this comes down to is knowing, what your demographic is and writing the appropriate language and tone for that demographic. Things like rhythm and timing are also very important as well. So for that humans chatbot, the moment where the synth becomes sentient is a very important part. And you'll see she'll say something and kind of stop halfway, then pause, and they say something else. And then we had showing typing indicators that then went away, and then a larger pause, and then hello. And all of this together made you really feel that there's some inner conflict going on here, and then finally this new personality is emerging. And all of that is just through timing. And the last part I'll mention is platforms. So Facebook Messenger is certainly one of the largest. You've already heard it today. But there's others. There's Skype. There is Kik. There's Telegram. There's the new Google Home, as well as Amazon Alexa. And each one of those has a different demographic that you'll find on there. So figuring out who you want to talk to may also implicate what platform you want to be on as well. There's a lot more that I could talk about how you create great conversations. I don't have the time, unfortunately. but we have written an ebook. It's for free. You can download it, pullstring.com/conversational writing, and there's a bunch of tips and tricks there for you to learn how to create great, convincing computer conversations. So I'm just going to leave you today with the thought that this year has seen the rise of chatbots. Interestingly, in Asia, they've been around for 5-10 years, but in the West, it's only been in the past year that we've seen the rise of this. So the Facebook Messenger chatbots, that was only April this year. Skype was a month before that. Google Home has only been out for a few weeks. This is very new that's happening, and all in the past year. And I think we're going to see more of this going forward. And I wanted to make the point that this is about conversation in general, talking with our computers. And so it's going to be important to figure out, how do brands and companies want to talk directly to their customers? And we'll leave you with this quote from Absolute. So they made a Facebook Messenger chatbot. And based upon their experiences, they said that it's a call to conversation, which ultimately leads to a conversion. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you.